Okay, welcome back, and now we're going to have a look at Modify. Modify basically allows you to do just what it says on the tin, so you can modify the way that the designs sit, the angles, the sizes, and you can also rotate it. And if we have a look at the top, we have rotate or baseline first of all, which we've already discussed, rotate, reposition, resize, crop, align, skew, and swap start and end. So the first one we'll look at is rotate, and if you come across to the right hand side you can see the tabs there are for area and design just as we had before, and the workspace, and now we have one for rotate. We have group, which is greyed out, and single, which is greyed out. We have reset, which does what it says on the tin. We have a 45-degree angle or rotation button to the left, and we have a 45-degree rotation button to the right. We also have mirror and flip. We've got 2-point angle, and we have custom rotation. So the first thing I'm going to do is rotate this design, the long row of dinosaurs, 45 degrees to the left, or anti-clockwise. Or I can rotate it to the right, or clockwise. I can also rotate this on a custom angle, so if I know that I have to rotate it at 30 degrees clockwise, I can just click into here and click 30 and enter. Now if your rotation has to be over 90 degrees, you will have to add that on, so that would be 120. Okay, reset that one. The next two are mirror, and the diagram gives you a good clue as to which way around it's going to go. So click mirror that way, and they're now facing right instead of left. Click it back, or you can flip. Now if I click mirror, you can see that my start and end points have swapped over with it as well. So in order to get the green start here and the red stop back there, I just simply go to the top and I click swap start and end. So if you're wanting to rotate the design in smaller increments, you can come down to custom rotation. If you click in there, you can see that you can change it to 0.02 if you wish, and that changes both arrows, so it will change it both to the left or clockwise and anti-clockwise. So now I can rotate that design in tiny increments, or I can change it to 0.2 for example instead of 0.2, and you can see that it's rotating a little bit easier, and that goes both ways. This makes it just a little bit easier to get that angle exactly right. So I've reset the design now, and if you can imagine that I have a sashing that is on an angle, and it's maybe going from there to there, or something like that. If you activate the simulate button, and on your quilt what you would do is you would take your needle point to the bottom left hand corner of that sashing, and you would click 2-point. You would then take your needle point to the bottom right hand corner of the sashing and click end. And this, as you can see, automatically tilts that design now to the angle that you just stipulated. Now I can take hold of it and I can drag it into position, knowing that the angle is correct. Okay, if I go into area and I select the area and go back to modify, I can do exactly the same thing with the area. So I can rotate it, depending on the design. I could mirror it, and I can flip it. I can also use the 2-point setting as well. So I would take hold of my needle, click the 2-point, and you can see that that's tilted that design to that angle. So I've reset the page, and we're going to now look at the group and single. In order to use these two, we have to have more than one design selected. So I'm going to click on the snowman and the dinosaurs, and we're going to use these two as a group. Now you can have more than two, you can have 5, 7, 10, however many you want, and they'll be put into a group. They'll also be used with the single, but I'll show you how. So as a group, this will all turn together, and the jump stitches won't go any further. As a single, they will turn, but as individuals in the places that they are currently. So I'll show you. So if I click 45 degrees as a group, you can see that the jump stitch is exactly the same, but both designs have turned to the 45 degrees as a unit, as one unit. If I reset and I click as single and 45, you can see that the jump stitch is a lot further, and also this one has turned on the same point as it was before, and this one's turned on the same point as it was before. So if I reset or undo, and I'll show you that again. So undo, and you can see that this one rotates just there, and that one rotates just there. And if I redo, as I say, you can see that they turn within their own areas. So the next part along is reposition. And this works in conjunction with your needle position, or on your computer, the simulate position, so the crosshairs on your simulate. This does, again, what it says on the tin, and it repositions the designs, and it can reposition the areas. So for a design, obviously we've got a start and an end point. So if I click on this side, on the right hand side, start point, it puts the start point at the centre of the crosshairs, or the position of your needle on your machine. Likewise with end point. A lot of this is quite self-explanatory. Also, if I use centre, it uses the centre of the design. Now, although with this one, it's not the centre of the snowman, obviously the start and end points, if I go into view and I put the bounds on for you, you can see that it actually is the centre of that square. So it takes into consideration the full width of the design and the full height, not necessarily the wiggly bits that's in between, if you want to look at it that way. Okay, so I'll go back into modify. I can also drag the design along. So if I click and hold on the computer, I can drag it around. And if you just click on drag on your machine and move your handlebars around and the machine needle, it will move with you. But then you need to remember to click drop. Otherwise you will still be moving it around. 0, that depends on who actually made the design and created the design. So if I click on 0 at the moment, it takes you quite a way up the screen. Now this depends on where the designer actually created the design on the page. It's not something that I use on a regular basis. So top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right. This is a symbol of your crosshairs here. So at the moment, if we look down here, you can see it's on the bottom left. If I click top left, and this is in relation to the design, I'll put that bounds back on for you, the design full area of the design, top right and bottom right. And again, I can do that with area as well. So I'll go to select the area, and I can go top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right, and I can also drag the area to wherever I need it to be. And centre it. So back to the design, and I'll bring that along here. What I can also do is I can nudge it into place. So if I get it almost where I want it to be, I can fine tune it by using the nudge feature down here. Now you can change this number in the middle, so I could have it as 0.2 and enter. And if I nudge that design now, you can see I can do it top, left, bottom, right, and I can also do it diagonally. So you can really get the design precisely placed on your quilt. Okay, so the next one along is resize, and again you can resize both the area and the design. So to resize the area, make sure that it's selected and it's green, and then you can come across to this side, and as I said before, you can lock the aspect, and then you only need to update one number. And you can come down here onto this side and put in whatever you want, 8, 9, 10, whatever size the area needs to be in total. And the same then once you've done that with your design itself. Again, I've got the aspect locked, and I can just increase or decrease the size as I wish. I can of course also take off the lock aspect, and I can change just the height or just the width. Now, you will also see here original width and original height. If I have changed the size of that and I have rotated it slightly, so if I've used the 2 point, I'll just do that for you. I can then go back into resize, and I can resize the original width and height from there. Of course, I can also resize the width and height as it is now. The next one along then is crop. Now, because I only have an edge to edge design and it's just the one line here, the only option I've got with crop at the moment is either no crop or I've got start and end. Now, because I haven't moved the start and end points as yet, there is nothing to crop off. In order to do that, I would have to go into Prostitcher, new start and end, and I would have to put my needle where I want the new end or the new start to be. So I'll do both here for you. I'll put that one there, and I'm going to click Start Auto here twice. So once to activate it and once to set it. And then I'm going to bring my needle across to this side here, and I'm going to click End twice. Once to activate it, once to set it. Then go back into the Modify, and I'm going to click on the Crop Start and End. And now you can see that the only design that I have on here is the one dinosaur. So now I've loaded a small edge-to-edge design that you could be putting on any quilt. And I'm going to simulate creating an area. So into Simulation and the Area tab, press 2 corner, bring it down there, press 2 corner again, and that's created an area. Now, when I go back into Modify, I have to decide whether I'm going to crop outside or inside, and whether I want the edges stitched and closed or whether I want the edges open. I'll show you first the examples. So outside, we'll take away the whole of the outside, and inside, we'll crop out the inside of the area. Now, you can see here lots of stops and starts. If this was cropped around an applique, for instance, you probably wouldn't want it to keep stitching backwards and forwards, because depending on the design that you choose and the path that it has, depends on how many times it would have to come up and around to get to these different areas. So if you close the edges off, that is what happens. It stitches along to the next bit and then stitches across, so there are no stops and starts. If you don't have the edges on, it will do as it says, so it will stop and start and stop and start. The choice is yours. I suggest you have a go at both of them and just see which one you prefer. Sometimes it will be easier to use one than the other. And again, no crop there if you get it wrong. Next one along then is align. So if you have a look on the right hand side, again you've got a number of selections. So you have no align. And note that I still have the area box selected on here. This aligns it within the areas and not according to your crosshairs. So if I click centre, it's aligned the centre of that design in the centre of the area. And you can see here it's horizontally centred and it's vertically centred. I can have it aligned to the left of the area, or I can have it aligned to the right of the area. I can have it aligned to the top, or to the bottom, or just one of the centres. Now let's have a look at stretch. So stretch, as you can see here, we've got one symbol that's got 4 arrows, top to bottom, left to right. We have horizontal and we have vertical. Now this design is bigger than the area. So instead of stretching, it will shrink it so that the sides fit whichever one I'm choosing. So if I fit or choose horizontal, the sides will fit inside there. If I choose vertical, it will squish it in that way. And if I choose stretch both, the whole of that design has gone into that box. Now, let me undo. And the area, we will create a larger one. So I'm going to clear that area, and I'm going to create a larger area. So just a 2-corner one, just the same as before. And now I'm going to stretch the 2. And you can see it's stretched both top and bottom, left and right, and filled that space for me. The last one on this section then is skew. And as you can see on the right hand side, we have no skew, we have skew and border skew. The top one, the normal skew, works best with convex shapes, and the bottom one works best with concave shapes. We also have another one down here which is greyed out at the moment, which is triangle skew. You can see I have loaded an area, I have 2 blocks and an edge to edge design. So as this one's active, we'll give this one a go and we'll see what happens when we try to skew it into this area. So let's start with this one then, this block design, and we'll put it into here. The first one we'll try is normal skew, and that doesn't work. It doesn't always. Sometimes it depends on the design and where the elements land, and other times it depends on the shape that you're trying to put it into. So let's try it with the border skew one instead. And there you see, that's a lot better. If I try the edge to edge design, and again you can see that works a lot better with that one than it does with that. Okay, so let's go back to no skew, and we'll change that one and we'll bring in a triangle. So I'm going to go to area, clear the area, and then I'm going to create an area. We'll have it multi-point. Actually, let me just clear that point and move this across a little bit for you. Multi-point. And that one. And we'll highlight that one, activate that particular design there. And we'll go into skew. And now you can see that triangle skew is activated. So we'll click that one. And there you go. Now, this one is called border skew. And if I clear all of this and I bring in a workspace, this is an example of a really badly pieced border. And this is an edge to edge design. 3 repeats joined together. If we go into skew and border skew, you can see it fits them all in very nicely.